Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about a very important subject, and that is fear. Because I feel like fear, well, it's what controls the negativity in life. Fear is the fuel that is behind all negative everything, I believe, on this planet. So let's talk a little bit about what fear is. It is the base emotion behind every single negative emotion there is. So think about it. Look, fear is the reason for anger, hate, jealousy, revenge, violence, everything. Because we wouldn't act on these impulses if there wasn't something deep within us that's from fear-based. And what is fear-based? It's a sense of lack, not being good enough, not being enough, and not understanding things, because fear is ignorance. When you have knowledge, when you know truth, you're not going to come from a place of fear. So you can't be in a place of fear when you come from a place of love and compassion. They're total opposites, and there are no differences. This is the extreme. There's fear and there's love. And really, all the other things that are part of negativity are part of fear. All that is good, full of compassion and love, is part of God, of the awareness, of the collective consciousness that is the divinity of us all. We're all connected on that level. So when you come from a place of fear, let's just say you're coming from a place where you don't have any trust and you don't have any truth. So fear is based on what? A lack of faith and trust. Because when we have faith and trust, we're not fearful, because we know we're all connected and we're one with that divinity of all. So I want to talk a little bit about some of the human behaviors that we've all participated in, which for the most part, I'm going to say fear-based, and how you can help alleviate some of this in your life, because sometimes we can't help it. We become consumed with fear. One of the things I want to say is many times when I would travel and I'd be away from my children when they were small, and all mothers go through this, you have fear. What if something were to happen to my child? And you go into a panic sometimes. I remember I used to kind of go into almost like a panic attack, worrying about what if they were to crawl in the pool, drown. All the worst case scenarios come to mind, right? And finally one day it came to me that when I made a sincere prayer to the divine, and I would always term it in terms of the Divine Mother, because I felt like it was this nurturing, protecting, loving energy in the universe, I would say, please protect my children while I'm gone. And then we go into this fear-mongering where we just ask and beg. But the voice said inside my soul, ask and you're heard. Your prayer is heard, so trust that we heard your prayer. You don't need to repeat the prayer 100 times over. So I listened and I asked and I let it go. And then from that point on, I wasn't controlled with fear anymore, because I knew protection was taking care of everything, the divinity of all. And you have to come to those places sometimes. And sometimes, when we really are consumed with fear, breathe. Breath work is so important. You know what some of the great yogis say? Change the way you breathe and you can change your consciousness. It's not that easy though. We consciously change the way we breathe for maybe just a few minutes. Then we go back to whatever our whole fear basis is on, and we breathe that in that way, very shallow. But when you breathe, it really is you're taking in the life. Remember in astrology, when we take the birth time of a person, it's not when they come out of the womb, it's when they take their first breath. And that's what yoga's all about, the power of breathing, of breath, being connected to our bodies in this world. So we have to breathe deeply and not come from a place of fear, because fear can control everything. Fear, let's just say, is how the masses have controlled everyone through the fear of religion, heaven and hell and devils and all of that. They controlled us through fear. But we can take our power back and not be controlled by fear by coming from a place of divine love. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how people control other people with fear. So many, I call this victims and martyrs. People who act like, you know, they come from a sense of what? Lack. They're not, they want to project their stuff onto other people and their sense of lack. But you know what this is really emotional blackmail. Because what happens is they're manipulating people by telling them how bad their life is. Oh, don't you feel sorry for me? Oh, I'm a martyr. I did this for you and that for you. That's controlling other people by what? Fear. We got to get out of this. If we want our life to work and to be prosperous and to be happy and full of joy, come from a place of love, not from a place of fear. And that's what people do. They want to put their fears out on other people, control them. And you are no longer going to be in this place because you come from a place of what? Not only love, but trust and faith in this love. That you know that that is the essence of who you really are. When you come from a place of fear, you block your connection to the divinity, your intuition, your inner knowing, that truth. You can't see it when you're full of fear. So we must first of all develop trust and faith. And most of all, when you come from this place devoid of fear, you'll see how love enters your life and you are divinely connected with all of the goodness that I believe the divine is. Call it divine, God, whatever name you have for that essence that is so loving and giving. You know, we were taught for so long through religion that God judges us. It's like a big judge. You go to the pearly gates, you're judged. No, that is not the truth, because here's the truth. The God that I know doesn't even judge, because to judge is a human. That is an essence. It's way beyond human nature. It is this essence that doesn't come from a place of judgment, because to judge comes from a place of fear too. This has nothing to do with that. So another thing I want to add to all of this about the judgment and the lack of faith and the lack of trust, which equates to in burning fear that controls everything you do, and therefore you can't experience the joy in life. The fact that we feel like we need to justify ourselves all the time, that we need to prove ourselves, to validate ourselves through other people. We don't need to do that, because that's another sense that there's a sense of lack and you're not enough. But we are. We're divine, we're perfect, and that's how we are in God's eyes. And those are the eyes that I want you to come from. Divine and perfect, full of love, That's the life that you deserve. That's the life we all came here to know. But what is that dark, deep emotion that prevents it? Fear. And if you want to say satanic and devils and all that type of stuff, it's all based on fear. And that's not even the reality and the truth. And when you bring things to the light, which is the point of love, the fear, the darkness, all of that has to disappear and dissolve, because the darkness doesn't exist in the light. So come from this place of love, and you will find that you will experience a life of joy. And that's a promise. So with that, I'd like to close. If you would like more information, these dissertations that I'm going over come from my book that I released as a Kindle book. It is Awaken to the Power Within You. It's a book that I wrote many years ago, and I never published it. But when I went back and looked over it and realized that this book did have the major effect that the title encapsulates, Awaken to the Power Within You. When you realize this, you will be awake. And so if you would like to learn more about my book, Awaken to the Power Within You, you can get it on Amazon. So I will have the link down here in my YouTube channel at the bottom there if you would like to learn more. So if you would like to learn more about me as well, you can always go to my website, which is galacticcenter.org. Thank you.